Hi there and welcome to a new video tutorial for Altenew. This is Nathalie DeSousa and I'm very excited to be the March guest designer in the Scrapbook Blog. And I wanted to use this opportunity to show you a little bit of how I go about creating cards. I usually show my videos about creating layouts, but I do enjoy card making. So I'm going to use the Wispy Begonia set and to create this particular card. My first thing was to emboss the images onto Bicky Butin mixed media paper using gold powder. I love working with mixed media paper in this case because it's really thick. It's 140 pounds and it's going to take the ink really nicely. Now to detail the flower, I am going to use the red Cosmos ink set that have the mini cubes, and all I'm going to do is start with the lightest shade of ink, and I'm going to stamp it onto my acrylic block, add a little bit of water, and that's just going to create a watercolor. And all I'm going to do is going to go slowly detail petal by petal. I'm going to speed up the process so I can show you most of it, but I'm going to kind of, like I said before, just add a wash. My choice to add a wash usually start from the center out. This way I'm going to add detail. It depends on which one I want to detail the flower, and in this case I want to add quite a bit of depth to the petals. So I'm going to start from the center out. So you're going to see, like I said before, I stamp the ink, add a little bit of water just to make it very fluid, very watery, and then I'm just going to go petal by petal, adding color. You can call this a wash. You're going to see that some of the petals are darker than others, and it's just the way that the brush picked up the color, and I'm okay with that because I'm actually going to add extra color and I'm going to be able to fix those dark spots. Now once I have, and you're going to see that I go petal by petal, once I have all the petals color, I'm going to go ahead. Usually you will see that you get add the definition to a petal by adding different colors ink. Now what I'm going to do for this flower is I'm going to skip to the darkest color ink. In this case is Grapevine. And all I'm doing is I stamped it onto my acrylic block, added a little bit of water, and then it's going to create a really dark watercolor. I'm going to use it as watercolor and just start from the center out, adding pigment to the center and kind of dragging the paint outwards to the outside of the perimeter of the petal. This is just going to add more pigment to the center, and that's going to add the depth, and also is going to help with defining the petal, adding the shadow, and it's going to give a more realistic look. I'm going to give you a close-up of how it works. So you're going to see, like I said, I stamped the ink. I am actually adding a little bit of the water just to create like a very fluid pigment. Once I put down a thin coat, I'm going to go ahead and pick up with the tip of the brush just a little bit of the pure pigment to add it just to the edge of where the petals meet, and then kind of drag it out. And that's going to create that nice shade and the definition of the petals, and it's going to give the illusion of depth and make it more realistic. And I've mentioned it before, and I think it's redundant. I am not a watercolor expert, but this to me is very therapeutical. I love it, and the combination of the colors in this particular flower, the Wispy Begonia, it was so easy to color, and I love the fact that it goes from a really light pink, and I can pick up those red tones and stretch them, and having the gold edge of the embossing powder helps control where I keep my ink, so it makes it really easy to watercolor. So I'm going to just continue. I'm going to take it off camera because I did take some time, and like I said before, I didn't snap that many images. I know that I'm going to use maybe 2 or 3 for the card. I'm not going to need any more than that, so I just gonna take my time to detail 2 or 3 of them and then just set them aside to dry. Now one of the things that I usually do is let them dry completely before I use them. Now to stamp the leaves, I wanted a color that was going to contrast a lot with the flower so that they both stand out. So my choice for this, I'm using the Tropical Greens, I believe it, or Tropical Forest that stamps it. And I'm going to start with the lightest color. I'm going to pretty much follow the same procedure that I did before with the flower. So once I stamp my ink on my acrylic block, I add some water just to make it very liquidy, and then I use it to create a wash in all the leaves, sorry. And you're going to see that I stamp quite a bit of leaves because, like I said, I want to create a background full of leaves for this. Then I go on to the next color, and then all I'm going to do is, starting from the center vein line, I'm going to start dragging the color outwards. And I'm okay if it's not like a complete define or a specific way to add the color. I just kind of want to work the a kind of messy watercolor look. And what I'm going to do is kind of guide the dark watercolor within the veins of each one of the leaves. And that's just going to help me bring some of the accents or kind of create the veining in the leaf. Now to end this leaf, all I'm going to do is stamp the darkest color of the ink and use a really fine brush. And then I'm going to do is, I try to work really fast so the leaves, there's still a little bit of moisture in the leaves, so the pigment kind of runs easier. And all I'm going to do is add some definition with the darker color ink towards the center of the leaf, just to create a little bit of a shadow. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry. While that was drying, I went ahead and cut a piece of craft paper, craft cardstock, to measure around 4 1/4 by 6. And then I'm going to bring the wavy grid stencil. I love the stencil, one of my favorites, and some acrylic paint. And all I'm going to do is kind of add a little bit of a background to this. I think the combination of the pink with the green, it's going to look great. They're going to make the flowers stand out. But I want to create something that's going to make them even stand out more. So I'm adding a little bit of white paint. For this, I am using a stencil brush, and all I'm doing is stippling the color through the stencil so that I have like the shadowy look on the background, but with the defined lines of the stencil. You're going to see that I'm going to add extra paint towards, I'm going to say where the flowers are going to be seated. And just because I want that part to be lighter so that the flowers and the leaves will stand out more. And then I'm just kind of spreading, think of a haze around it. Now to finish the look that I created, I'm going to bring a little bit of the white ink from Altenew just to create a few drips around the grid that I created. While that sets and dries, I'm going to use the little glass stained window stamp set. There's a few sentiments that I like, but I really like the one that says birthday wishes. And I have this idea that this could be work for, I have my little sister's birthday coming up, so I'm going to use it. So I did two things. I stamped one of the birthday wishes with black ink and also embossed it with gold ink onto white cardstock, and then just cut them to create banners. Now that everything is set and ready to go, I'm just going to use some foam adhesive to attach the flowers onto the background. I'm just going to create kind of a diagonal design at the top of the card. And then I'm just going to use quite a bit of the leaves that I created. And you're going to see that the contrast of having that really light color leaves is going to bring the pink on the flowers, but have a lot of greenery, and it's going to look really nice because of the dark background. So everything, it works actually really nice in this card. So all I'm doing is just adding some of the leaves just to create a nice cluster at the top of the card. And once I have that in place, you're going to see that I have a few of the leaves kind of sticking out of the card, and I'm okay with that. I'll just create an envelope that actually fits to the size of the card. Now that I have everything in place, I'll go ahead and add a little bit of foam adhesive just to the tips of the leaves. That's just going to create a little bit of movement, a little bit of dimension on how I'm adding the leaves onto the card. And then I'm going to decide, actually, I decided that I think I'm going to go with the gold embossed sentiment, just because it stands out and it follows the same look that the flowers have of the embossing. And then just going to cut the little banner and add it at the bottom of my card panel, in this case, with a little bit of foam adhesive. I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive behind the panel and then attach it to a card that I cut and to create the card. Sorry, it sounds redundant. And after that, all I'm going to do is add a little bit of sequin. I'm using clear sequin just to bring a little bit of the shine to the page. And that's pretty much it. The way that I'm adding the sequin is kind of little clusters around the page. I have a diagonal look, so I'm going to add them in such a way that they pick the light. And that's about it. Super simple. I hope you try it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you so much, Altenew. Take care, guys.